I want to use or borrow a phrase from Dr. Ganapati, in addressing you. He used to say, Ulaga Tamil Arivadikale. I will modify it a bit and say MCC Arivadikale, which I think will include everyone from the undergraduate students to the head of the department, to all those students who have passed out, our invitees who have come over here, because all have something or the other in connection with their arivu, their knowledge with this department. So, Ulaga Arivarigale Vanakkam. Having said that, let me at the very outset congratulate the entire department. Especially I was struck by this beautiful decoration which was done here. I was commenting on that to Dr.D.E.P.Jeyasingh. That just showed that people have taken a lot of effort, put in a lot of effort in organizing this function, and I am very happy that you had invited me to share my thoughts about my teacher, Dr. and colleague and friend Crispin Devadas. I would wish also to congratulate Dr. Baluswami and the support that was given by the head of the department for all these functions. He is one who has been organizing these functions to remind people of the traditions that we have in the department. The parambaryam is remembered, and that really is a great thing. I remember to have read in one of the articles written by our former acting principal, Dr. McPhail. I don't know whether many of you may not know him or heard of him. He was the acting principal for a few years before Dr. Devadas took over as the Indian principal. Dr. McPhail wrote in one of the articles that was entitled "The Christian Teacher." He said a Christian teacher is one who would try to introduce a bit of the historical fact of whatever subject he teaches. It may be history, it may be botany, it may be zoology, it may be anything, philosophy. A little bit of the historical aspect sort of makes him a better teacher, a Christian teacher. So in that connection, I'm really happy that the department is putting up such functions, such gatherings for remembering the past of the department. So I also first of all take this opportunity to thank everyone who has invited me for this function. And now I will go on to say what I have to say about Dr. CD. And that's the slide. The CD, CD is very common these days, the compact disc. So CD, I know. The next one. Dr. Crispin Devadas did his BSc Botany from the University College, Trivandrum, in Kerala State, and stood first in the university with the first class. In the year 1955, he got his MSc degree from the same college, standing first in the university with the second class. In those days, getting a first class in MSc was very rare, very different from probably now, I do not know. The same year, in June 1955, he joined the Department of Botany at MCC as demonstrator. In the year 1958, he was promoted as lecturer just before the department was upgraded as a postgraduate department by Madras University with the introduction of MSc Botany in 1959. I always had the habit of using a camera whenever we went on a field trip. And the next 3 pictures that followed were taken during these trips. This was probably when I was in the first BSc. You can see I got these scanned by Dr. Baluswami very kindly, and he has highlighted Dr. Crispin over there. It's a black and white photograph, and you can see there. He knew that I was taking a picture, but you see where he was. He was turning away. That speaks about a particular quality of his, which I will come to later on. This person is a classmate of mine. So this was in my first BSc that was taken in 1958. I'm sorry, 1955. And this one probably was in 1956. And there again you can see Dr. Crispin Devadas as a young man. He was not married then. And next to him is standing over here is Mr. Tampa. And that is the professor in Annamalai University. This was taken at the Annamalai University campus where we are staying, from where we went to Peshawar. So we had a field trip to Peshawar, and that's when this picture was taken. And there were 4 lady students in my class. With great difficulty, I was trying to recollect their names. I think the one who's standing that side is Rita. The one in the black sari is Maheshwari. Next one is Mary Koshi, who also did MSc with us, and me. And the next one was Molly Thomas. I think that's the way I remember it. Well, there are also others whom I may not recollect, but I can certainly remember this person who is one Jeyasingh, who later on became the assistant coordinator or director of continuing education, the distance education in Madras University. Now that of course been projected mainly to show Dr. Crispin Devadas. He was very young, as I said, he had just joined a few years before. Now next, this is of course taken in 1959 or no, 60 perhaps. You can see that's Dr. Crispin Devadas standing, and this person. Narayan was taking ecology class for us. I'm sure Dr. Rajsekharan and Dr. Usman Ali and also a few other staff members. Now these are the pictures of Dr. Crispin taken. In all these pictures you will see he will not face the camera, and he was very particular that nobody should sort of take a picture of him directly. Well, we'll go on to the next aspect. Next slide. After teaching as a lecturer for 6 more years, in 1965, he got admission into the University of Michigan, Ann Arbor, USA, where he did his MS and then his PhD. Though his thesis was on developmental anatomy, his guide was a famous paleobotanist of North America, namely Professor C.B. Beck, who ushered in the concept of progymnosperms in plant evolution. I'm sure the MSc students remember. The title of the thesis, PhD thesis, was a comparative study of development and morphology of the primary vascular system of some species of Leguminosae and Rosaceae. Well, I can go a little deeper into this in the sense I know why Dr. Beck, who was a paleobotanist, took interest in the developmental aspect, because he got fossils of the shoot tips of one Archaeopteryx in which he was working. The number of the pole balls had it, and he wanted to compare the developmental aspect of these by taking serial sections of the fossils with what you find in the angiosperms. Well, that is why we put Dr. Devadas onto this. You can see that this thesis was not on fossil plants, but on the anatomy of living plants. Dr. C.D. got his PhD in 1970 and returned to India to take up the leadership of the Department of Botany here in NCC in the year 1971. Till then, of course, Dr. Venkataraman had left by then, and Professor Tampan was acting head of the department. Next. Dr. C.D. did some improvements to the department. Soon after he took over as head, the first and second MSc labs, which were till then in the same room, were separated and put in two adjoining rooms. An air-conditioned enclosure in the old premises was converted into a dark room for photographic work. The college gave Dr. C.D. additional responsibilities as the warden of St. Thomas Hall, which he held for 5 years. Next. In 1977-78, I'm sort of telescoping the whole thing because there are several other people who will be talking about various things at various times of his tenure, so I don't want to take up all that time. Dr. C.D. was responsible for designing with his younger colleagues the new building for the Department of Botany, this building. The construction work began soon after, although generous financial help that the college received from Germany. ECE, I don't know what it stands for, I have to find out. Dr. HKPD, the other department has told me that he will tell me later on. Or I think, if I remember right, thanks to his illustrious colleagues, he found the department shifted to the new building. Just talking a little while ago to Dr. Livingston, my former head and my colleague, how we all shifted the department from the old premises. I don't know how many of you know that the department was in the arts block, in the science block, and from there we came over here little by little. We carried our things in our own hands, and some of the glassware had to be shifted very carefully. We could put them in a cart and bring. So I know people who are doing physiology slowly carried everything on trays and so on, and we brought them all over here. I was telling Dr. Livingston, when he returned, of course, the new building had separate labs for various subjects, which was ideal for starting academic research. So you can see that as we moved from the old building to the new, our academic aspect, academic approach also went up a little. Now let's, the next slide. After serving the college for 35 long years, Dr. C.D. retired in 1991, I should say. My mistake is 1991 March. The college, not wanting to lose his services, made him to coordinate the examinations, which post he held for 3 years. I hope I'm right here. The picture that you will see now was taken in 1993 when late Dr. Jeyasingh, one of the illustrious, of course we had a meeting last year about him because he passed away last year in memory of him. One of the illustrious students of the first batch, he was my classmate of this department, came to address the botany seminar. I happened to be the botany president, the seminar president at that time. And the next picture, next one. There you find all professors over there, Dr. C.D. in the middle, and this is here you find Professor Lal, Professor A. Kampa, and that's Dr. Jeyasingh, and that's myself. So this was a fortunate picture because somebody offered to take it. Usually I take the pictures, but this time some student must have offered to take it, and I'm really thankful to that person, whoever it is. I don't remember. Maybe it was a staff member. Next. Dr. C.D. had moved, had many good qualities. Many of his students would remember how well he could make sketches on the board. His MSc record book was a model for all of us for a long time. In fact, I remember I learned how to draw on the board. Of course, it is one thing to draw on the paper, but then when you become a staff member, you have to make the drawing on the board and it has to be large and all that. And I remember he used to do it, I used to watch him doing it, and then I noticed him doing something with the chalk. You know what he will do is, he will take the chalk, and as he was drawing, after some time drawing a few lines, he will break that chalk at the very tip. That will produce a very sharp edge, and with that he will draw the filament of a stamen. It will be just so thin and fine. I thought that's a good thing for me to follow, and I used to do it. I have known, of course, other staff members breaking the chalk for other reasons. If Dr. Jeyasingh will not scold me for it, I have known that he used to himself tell me, he will break the chalk to throw at the person who is sleeping in his class. I'm not quite clear. So that's Dr. Crispin making sketches. He was very good at it. While in USA, he developed interest in photography and printed pictures he took himself. He did the printing, and that's why the dark room was created. He was strict with the students and also with the junior faculty. He was a no-nonsense man, and this could not be tolerated by some. I remember some of the attenders coming and wailing. Some attenders are over here too, those who were in this time. Not necessarily there, but some others come and say, "No, no, sir, they didn't want to make a mistake, and if he does, if they do, he will pull them on very severely. Not having anything in his mind, but he wanted things to move very smoothly and correctly in the department. He was a good administrator. He gave importance to teaching and teaching and teaching. Research was always secondary on his academic agenda. Because after coming over here, I don't think, excepting the few students he guided and one PhD student, Dr. Baluswami, is not here unfortunately. I was hoping that I will be able to meet him because it's a long time since I met him. He was his only PhD student. And a number of MPhil students, of course, had passed out. Next, Dr. C.D. moved with his family to USA after he retired, where he lives now. Initially, he was teaching in a university, but recently he has taken up teaching undergraduate students at Oakton Community College, Des Plaines, Illinois. I will now give from his recent students at Oakton College who were asked to rate his teaching and other qualities. Many of his own students who are here, including myself, will see that this present students have rated him precisely the way many of us would have if we had been asked to. I don't know whether student evaluation is there, but I think we could introduce this. Where I got this material is a secret. I will tell you later on. Next. He is a good teacher. He is a person even now. He is well-read, efficient, and matter-of-fact in his dealings with others. He is a loving husband to his wife and caring father to two of his sons. I didn't want to go into the family because the two of the sons were very close to my own children, and we have some information, and that all of them are now in the US. His two children as well as husband and wife. However, all of us are human and have our own weaknesses. Dr. C.D. is no exception. He was, and maybe you can say he is still, because you read some of the ratings, sensitive. I can remember one incident which indicated this to me very early. Myself, Dr. C.D. and Professor Baluswami were talking about something. Then Professor made a comment something about either I don't remember exactly, either it was teaching or drawing on the board or something like that. And Dr. Crispin immediately stiffened up. And then Dr. Crispin Devadas said, you don't have to be so touchy about that. Then he said, no, I am touchy. No, I am very touchy. And he became very stiff. I thought it's best for me to leave them together. And so I left. So that's one incident which came to my mind. There may be others which we could do. He is secretive, I said. I already pointed out, or shy, as somebody said, you can use that word. He was secretive about going to USA. We were all, even Mr. Lal, who was very close to him, they were related. Mr. Lal came to know that he was going to the US only a few weeks before he left. So, after telling Mr. Lal, he came and told me, well, Mr. Lal knows, so I think you will also come to know very quickly. So let me tell you that I am leaving for US such and such day and so on. And another thing, of course, when he was going away to Nigeria, I said he disappeared for 2 years. He had been to Nigeria, microscope slides on embryology. I was doing it in pteridophytes and gymnosperms. And so we usually have, the Canada balsam for mounting the slides. The MSc students would know. The Canada balsam was of one particular grade of Canada balsam would be very good. It will quickly dry and it will not stick to your fingers for a long time. Some Canada balsams are not. I don't know whether you still use that. The synthetic stuff are available now, but in those days it was not so. The Canada balsam resin that we got from the polymer was purified, and that's what was used as Canada balsam. And so he sent word to one of the attenders to get the Canada balsam from me. And then I was mounting the slides. So I told the attendant, now please wait, I am doing the work. And so I don't know what he went and told, sometimes instead of saying what we really want to convey, something else is told. So Dr. Crispin got very worried. Then when he was about to come out, by the time I finished my mounting and then I was bringing the Canada balsam bottle to him, and then we met me on the corridor and said, oh, you should repeat. He said that I was very upset. Later on, of course, he caught hold of me and said, you know how we feel if we want to see our slide the moment we make it. And he wanted to mount it. Well, that's explained. And when my wife this morning asked me, what are you going to say about our CD? I just said something to know about that. Then I also said, I think I will also include the fact that he was short-tempered. She looked at me and said, Neenga, Dr. Crispin and short-tempered. You know the implication. So, anyway, we learned many things from our teacher. Yes, that is Dr. Crispin Devadas, Dr. C.D., whom I know. He was my teacher, my friend, and my predecessor. I wish him well. God's blessings for a long life with this man. Hope you too wish him the same.
அவையில் வீற்றிருக்கும் சான்றோர்களுக்கு என் பணிவான வணக்கங்கள். உழைப்பால் உயர்ந்தவர். மதத்தை தாண்டி மனித நேயத்தோடு உழைத்ததால் இன்று நீ எங்களுள் மாமனிதர். மதத்தை தாண்டி மனித நேயத்தோடு உழைத்ததால் இன்று நீ எங்களுள் மாமனிதர். அறிவின் கலப்போடு ஆற்றலை வெளிப்படுத்தி இத்துறைக்காக உழைத்தாய் ஈகையுடன். உழைப்பிற்கு வரம்பில்லாமல் ஊதியத்தை நோக்காமல் எளிமையின் சிகரமாய் பிறர் ஏற்றம் காண உழைத்ததால் ஐயமில்லை எங்களுக்கு நீ ஒரு ஆசான். ஒற்றுமையின் சிறப்புணர்ந்து ஓர்குணமாய் திகழ்ந்திட ஔடதமாய் விளங்கினாய். 21 வயதில் முதுகலை மாணவர், 23 வயதில் உதவி பேராசிரியர், 31 வயதில் துணை பேராசிரியர், 38 வயதில் துறை தலைவர், தாமஸ் இல்லத்தின் விடுதி காப்பாளர். இக்கல்லூரிக்குள் முகம் பன்முக வடிவமுடையது. நீர் ஆற்றிய பணிகளை பட்டியலிட்டால் இயற்ற வேண்டும் ஒரு நூற்பா. மாணவர்களின் எண்ணத்தில் நுழைந்து சிந்தனைகளை தூண்டி தன்னம்பிக்கையோடு சிகரம் நோக்கி நடக்க வைத்தார். பொறியியல் படித்தறியாத பொறியியல் வல்லுனர். பொறியியல் படித்தறியாத பொறியியல் வல்லுனர். இன்றளவும் இத்துறை கட்டிடம் உன் பெயரை தான் தாங்கி நிற்கிறது. நீ வரைந்தளித்த கட்டிடத்தின் ஒரு பகுதியில் இன்று உமக்கான விழா. தாவர உள்ளமைப்பியலை ஒரு அமைப்பாக பார்த்தறிந்தோம் உன் வரைபடம் மூலம். நீ அன்று வரைந்த வரைபடங்கள் இன்றும் எங்கள் கண்முன் காட்சி பதிவேடாய். சமுதாயத்தின் ஆணிவேர் ஆசிரியர் பணி. ஓர் ஆசிரியராக சொல்லினும் ஏற்பூட்டி நல்லெண்ணங்களை விதையாக தூவி ஒழுக்கமெனும் வேலி கட்டி கல்வியெனும் நீர் தெளித்து மாணவர்களின் வளர்ச்சிக்கு வித்திட்டாய். உம்மிடம் பாடம் பயின்ற பலர் இன்றைய பேராசிரியர் பெருமக்கள். உம்மிடம் பாடம் பயின்ற பலர் இன்றைய பேராசிரியர் பெருமக்கள். மாணவ பருவத்தில் கனவுகளோடு கலந்துரையாடி ஆசிரியர் பருவத்தில் பொறுப்புகளோடு போராடி துறை தலைவராக துணிவோடு செயலாற்றி வெற்றி நடை போட்ட உமக்கு எம் தலை